Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sol.
And Sol's back. So let's yay. Yay. Now get back to work. You've missed a lot of things. I'm kidding. Welcome back, Sol. We're back today to talk about some Hot D, House of the Dragon, episode 7.
Someone got some hot D tonight. Or last night in the episode.
Episode 7, Driftmark. Lots of things happened. This whole family had a rough 24 hours. This is a day.
Well, this is considered a really rough year in the book. So in the book for like all the things that happened, kind of like with a few deaths here and there, a little mutilation here and there, you know, the usual.
It's Game of Thrones. What do you expect? Yeah, it did feel a little like, and as someone who's not read the book that this is based on, I was just like, this feels like kind of like you see, because you notice these patterns in something like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. It's like, I feel like in the book this was longer. I feel like in the book this took more time because this took a day. But as far as someone who has read the book, this chunk in the book to how it was in the show, how'd you feel about it overall as an adaptation?
Well, like I've said multiple times, with the book is kind of written like a history book. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to go fully into detail of what's happening. The show actually gives a lot more detail to things, like we said before with Lady Rhea. Like there's way more detail in the show than what was in the book. When I was on last time, that was 2 episodes ago, I believe. So there's some stuff that the show is actually giving more detail to, and then there's some stuff that like there's different accounts in the book. Like you have the main maester who's writing the book, but then you also have this character Mushroom that comes in and was like, no, this is what actually happened. So it's interesting to see some things that change up because it's very much of an unreliable narrator. So it's kind of like, no, this is what actually happened is what the show is kind of showing, where the book gives like different accounts.
And yeah, and you were here with us last week when we tackled the big jump. You know, Bogz and I were both very impressed with how both Olivia Cook and Emma Darcy is playing, who's playing Rhaenyra, just across, just so impressed with how these two really took to it. I mean, I'm a big Olivia Cook fan to begin with, and I thought she was doing fantastic. Although I love how over the course of these 10 years, everyone else like Rhaenyra and Alicent have completely changed. The king looks like crap, but Lord Corlys, he's all right.
I mean, black don't crack.
Even Daemon looks, it's just like, man, this is inconsistent genealogy or whatever the term is here.
Well, like one of them is suffering from leprosy,
it's
so
true.
like
it's true. Yeah.
I'm sure Viserys would look much younger, because I believe like he's in his 40s, but he looks much older because of like just his disease.
He's got what, like 5 kids now between Rhaenyra and 4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah, and him and Alicent have a 4th kid in the book. And if you look at the opening credits, I think they have 4 lines going from them. So either they've already had the kid and the 4th kid is just off somewhere else doing something, or like they haven't had their 4th kid yet. And like with everything's going on, they're going to have a 4th kid.
It'll be interesting to see how they do that, because I don't think they have a 4th one credited. An actor credited as the 4th one. I'm not sure, but it could be just like, I mean, Rhaenyra's baby was nowhere to be seen in this episode. Granted, probably staying back with the midwives, the ones that she so lovingly called the C word. Favorite line of last week's episode.
Called her a cunt.
It's wonderful. But this is the first episode we've had that I can remember that we didn't have a time jump, where it picks up immediately after last week.
We had that like with 4 and 5. Like 5 picked up after 4.
You're right. Yeah, no, you're right. Okay.
But
go ahead.
With this too, you're seeing really the formations of the greens and the blacks. They even name the greens in this episode, which is the first time that they name like, I'm going to need your help against the Greens. So you're really seeing the this family splitting apart, and this family fighting between like morals and whose morals are more correct, because everyone's kind of like a morally great character, but they all are sticking to who they are. And like you have one side that's more like, this is the letter of the law that you have to follow, and then you have another side that's like, I'm gonna do what I want.
Whatever. It was interesting to see, like, because the moment when Allison, tries to take an eyeball and ends up cutting Rhaenyra, when everyone steps away, it's like, oh, lines are being drawn, right, literally and figuratively in this moment, because everyone splits into two groups, and
Yeah.
these are the lines that we are going to see come to fruition by the end of the season.
Yes.
What did you think about, because I thought it was a really curious and interesting choice to have, I mean to just open up with her funeral. Like we miss the kind of discovery of everything that happened. We open up with this funeral, but we don't spend a whole lot of time on it. We kind of just go straight to what happens afterwards. Do you think that was a good way to handle it? Should we maybe have gotten a little bit more out of that? Because we have this moment of like Daemon chuckling during the funeral, but it's never super clear what that is about. There's some theories. I want to hear what you got to say.
Well, when he was saying that the Valerian line, he was talking about the line being pure. Well, Rhaenyra's kids are bastards. So
is that what you think he was laughing about?
Yeah, I think he was laughing at that. Like, there's not many Valerians left. Kind of like by the end of this episode, although like one of them you think is dead, where like in the book, Laenor dies. Like actually like legit dies.
I figured
and
that was,
and it's by that character, and like one account is he got very jealous because Laenor, like they were in Spice Town, and he's like, oh, Laenor is going after another guy, so I'm jealous and I'm going to kill him. That's one account. The other account is Daemon hired him to kill Laenor so that way Daemon can marry Rhaenyra, kind of thing. So that's another account. So but so in the book you're assumed that Laenor dies. So like to actually have him live his best gay life overseas, like I loved that. But to the beginning, I really liked it because you didn't need the dialogue, you didn't need the extra time. Just by the glances you can see where the lines were already drawn here and how people were feeling about each other. You had the long glances between Rhaenyra and Daemon. You had the Viserys, which is literally epitome of the Ben Affleck meme, like with the cigarette after every episode. Like all he wants is just his family to love each other and be together and have a good time.
Everybody
And
just chill the F out. Come on.
Yeah, right, exactly. So like he's there like, I miss my brother. I want him to come back home. And his brother's like, no, like, because he still feels like he got banished. And you can see that too in the last episode when Lena was like, don't you miss home? And he's like, no, I don't. I don't miss home. What are you talking about?
I miss their line, but I don't miss their home.
Yeah. Right. And it's, you could tell like with Daemon is that he wants to be home. He's with his family is the most important thing to him. And his Valerian family, his Targaryen family is the most important thing to him. And he was shunted by his brother, and his place in the kingdom, because he was the heir, was taken by his niece. So kind of like, why be there where like shit's going down and not just be where you're relaxed, but then you're still going to miss the people that you love, kind of thing. So you're seeing that, and then you're seeing too like Larys Strong being a total creeper. Like everyone else kind of in the show is morally great. Larys Strong is an evil son of a bitch.
he's our little finger. He's our little finger for the show.
And you have Kristen Cole, which is just, he's so interesting. And he's like the epitome of an incel, except like he got some. So
he got some, but he didn't get to keep getting some.
Yeah.
He caught feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I don't know.
and
By the time this episode was over, I was like, you know what, Cole, get fucked. Like, just, when they're having the whole how to do in the room there, and he just kind of laughs. I was like, dude, just up yours, man. Like,
yeah. And it's really funny too to think of like the dynamic with like Alicent and Cole is that they very much are holier than thou. They're high off their own supply. Like, and if you think about it, like Cole, you broke your oath too, so you're just as bad as Rhaenyra. And like Alicent, you are supposed to be this prim and proper thing. You're not following your king's order. You're literally there going, oh, if the king won't do anything, then I will. You obey me. I'm like, if Viserys had balls, he would have been like, I'm the fucking king, bitch. Like, no, like everyone's supposed to listen to the king. Like he has hierarchy, but she's just like, nope. And you can just see how weak Viserys is. And I've said before that he's a terrible king, but a good father. And I still believe that, but he's a good father to Rhaenyra. I don't think so to his weird ass kids, like that he has with Alicent.
I think part of that, I think it's because he has both a blind spot and a very open eye. In one eye, it's he can't see anything wrong with Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra is his flawless little diamond encrusted angel,
and he looks like his mother,
and she's the spitting image of her mother. And then on the other hand, you've got his kids with Alicent, who are 3 fuck ups. You've got
3 fucking weirdos.
3 just weird, because you've got the oldest one who's yanking it out windows. Everybody walks with an umbrella.
Wants to fuck anything that moves,
and just will just drink himself stupid. You've got their daughter who's just kind of weird, like she's talking to Bogz and speaking in tongues, and she's just
predicting things too.
She's the original manic pixie dream girl. And then you get to Aemond, who's just a psychopath.
Yeah.
And I think
we see that more this episode than last episode.
Woof. And so I think a lot of it is like he sees what's wrong with his and Alicent's kids, but he just can't see anything wrong with her. Again, I think a lot of that comes back to because we had that moment today in this episode. He calls Alicent Emma.
Yeah.
And I don't think he realized it even.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And to go to the kids, I love the relationship between Lena and Damon's kids and Rhaenyra and Harbin Strong's, aka Laenor's kids. like
I'm trying to follow the web you just drew. Okay.
Yeah, so the 2 girls, the twin girls,
yes,
and then the 2 boys.
Yes.
So Rhaenyra and Damon's kids.
They have such a great little relationship.
They have and one thing that I like miss a little bit, that like in the book, Lena and Rhaenyra are really good friends in the book, which we don't really get to see at all in the show. And so it makes sense that their kids are close to each other and are there. And like he even goes to comfort his cousin, kind of, even though he himself has just lost a father. Like it's his real father, but he's not supposed to know, but he knows because everyone knows.
He's not allowed to mourn. Like he's not allowed to mourn.
Yeah, and him and his brother and his mother are not allowed to mourn the death of their father. And so he's there like comforting his cousins. He's there like when they get punched by Aemon, like they don't start fully fighting until they start beating up on those 2 girls. And then I love the way like they're just curb stomping Aemon. And what's in the book, it's the youngest child. It's Joffrey and Aemon that have a go. And so they play with the timeline a little bit. Joffrey's too young to be slicing people's eyes.
He can be a tough baby.
But you have Aemon who on the funeral does not wait to take over that dragon. And Vhagar, like having that dragon go over to the green side is a very important thing. And that poor dragon has lost so many riders. Lost Visenya, lost Balin, lost Lena. Now, like, has a new rider, and her new rider is a fucking freak. Like,
and she's a big sweetie too, because she's just this big old chunky girl.
yeah,
And
the biggest dragon.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
which when you consider the fact that by the time we get to Game of Thrones, there are none left other than Dany's 3. It's like, where's the big chunky one go?
Well, they said the more they're bred in captivity, the smaller they've gotten. So if
Right.
this is one of the dragons that comes from Valyria.
It's an old,
Like,
old.
so
dragon.
it's super old, one of the bigger dragons, because they're getting smaller and smaller.
Mhm.
So you can even see just like the size, like when Aemond is like next to this dragon compared to like when Daemon is next to his dragon.
It's crazy. And yeah, it's Aemon. What did I put on Twitter? I said Aemon fucked around and found out. Aemon woke up and chose violence, and violence came for him. I mean, he was,
and in the end, he's happy.
He's happy, and it kind of stems from what we saw in because this is very much a part 2 to last week's episode. Like, this is definitely the part 2 of episode 6, because everything that was, a lot of things, if not maybe everything that was set up in episode 6 comes to fruition in episode 7. You know, the whole thing with Aemon wanting a dragon, and the line about maybe they'll find you a pig, you know, because he is very much a product of his environment, because he's the youngest one. He has had the shit bullied out of him by Aegon and by Rhaenyra's oldest as well, by Lucien, because
by Jason Luke, I
can't remember which one's which, because they
Jake
were
is the older.
They were a part of the whole getting the pig thing. I mean, they were in on it clearly, and so this is him very much. It's like Nate in Ted Lasso. It's like he has lived he has been to put up with so much crap from all sides, and he's mad as heck, and he's not going to take it anymore.
Yeah, and there's a reason he goes for the biggest dragon, the biggest firepower. And it's can't spoil, just the fact that he has that dragon is very important.
Right, because you've never spoiled anything about what's coming on here before. Spoiler alert, all these people die. This is the Rogue One of Game of Thrones. Okay, everyone.
I mean, they are all dead by the time of Game of Thrones. That is correct.
Right. Well, and there's an episode in particular that spoils what's going to happen by the end of this thing, so it's fine.
And to speak to just the fact of like morality and who is being depicted as good guys and who's being depicted as bad guys.
Right.
Where, like, last episode, I mean, it's Alicent doesn't tell him to do it, but she kind of becomes mixed up in the fact of Larys killing his father and brother, Lionel and Harwin Strong, in that fire. Which in the books too, there's different accounts, like, oh, Viserys did it, Daemon did it, so and so did it. Like, there's different accounts on who did it. Where this time in the show, you're saying, nope, it's their son who killed them, and then kind of like went to Alicent and like told her like it's because of you. And even later at the end of this episode, in that speak, I don't need you to enact revenge right now, but if I do need to call on you later. So you're seeing that kind of like Alicent is not afraid to get her hands dirty and to be the one responsible for the death of people, where Rhaenyra does not want to be a tyrant, where she's going to, I mean, someone does die, but she's going to allow Laenor to live his life and pretend that he's dead and stuff. She doesn't kill him to marry Daemon. She actually just makes everyone believe he's dead, so that way she can marry Daemon.
It was because I was so, when I thought they killed him, I was angry. Like, I was very angry, because, and I know Game of Thrones is shows no mercy. They're like, no one's safe, but it was just like, there's something about him that's just inherently likable. I don't know if it's like the charisma of the actor or what, but you really, really want to like this guy. And from all accounts, like, despite their differing tastes, he had been the best husband ever.
Yeah. And he loves his kids that aren't his.
Right. Because there's no way he doesn't know. I mean, he knows.
Yeah, he knows.
But also he knows because that was kind of their arrangement, was like
Yeah.
you go fuck it, I'm gonna go fuck it. So the thing where he's like, look, Carl's gonna be going back on duty here soon. I'm done with this. I'm just gonna commit myself. And for him to make that commitment to essentially like say he's telling her, I'm gonna give up who I am and everything that makes me happy to help you get your win. And so when I thought she killed him, I was about to just say, fuck Rhaenyra. But the choice
she loved him too much to allow him to not be himself. Because
she says it herself. She's like, I do love him. He's been so good to me. I don't blame. And when he says like, I'm
calls him basically tells him that he's kind-hearted and that like
he's a good man.
He was like, I wish the gods made me different, and she's like, I don't. And so loves him for who he is a true ally, like in the sense.
And I'm straight. I'm not anything other than that. But even I was just kind of like, I had this moment of empathy where I'm just kind of like, anybody who's ever struggled with their sexual identity has probably had a form of that conversation with someone at some point, where it's like, I'm just going to pretend to not be, or, I wish I wasn't this way, or something to that effect. And had to have someone tell them like, no, there's nothing wrong with you, or even worse, like maybe didn't have that. It was such a, which is what I think is why the decision to not kill off the only gay character after having that moment, because I feel like if they had killed him off, that would have been such a fuck you.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad, not knowing what was in the book, because according to you, he dies. Your heart hurts for his parents, but you're like, he gets to go, but his dad didn't like him, didn't respect him for what he was, and so it was nice to see him kind of get to
he gets the dream that Kristen Cole wanted with Rhaenyra.
He gets his happy ending. His happy ending, and now I don't have to hate Rhaenyra.
Right. And what's interesting too is because in the book he dies, Sea Smoke goes to someone else. Since he's alive, I wonder what they're going to do with Sea Smoke.
Oh, that's a gun. Well, Daemon's youngest still needs a dragon.
Yeah, but if he's alive, Sea Smoke is attached to him. The only way the dragons can change to a different rider is if their rider dies. They are so loyal to their rider. If their rider is alive anywhere on the planet, like, they are loyal to that rider. So it pretty much like, for it to switch riders, you have to die. Since he's not dead, I wonder if they're going to change up the lore a little bit, or if he's going to be a player later, like if they're going to change up something and have him actually be involved later on in the show, because he does have a dragon.
Maybe he comes back and dies a hero's death.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of all, everything's kind of on the table. You've already deviated from his story. You can kind of do whatever you want with him now, and figure it out later. So, which is kind of a nice thing to have in your back pocket. So elephant in the room, there's a good chunk of this episode that's really freaking hard to see, because in their infinite wisdom, they shot day for night. Day for night, as someone who's made movies and things like that, day for night never works, guys. Okay. They did it in the 50s and 60s and 70s when, lighting wasn't amazing, when they were still figuring that out. Day for night is terrible, especially on, flat LED screens with the 1080p high def. And also when you're shooting day for night, you still got to in some way light the scene. And I don't know.
You think they would have learned from?
Well, but here's, and I had to look some stuff up, because here's why they didn't learn their lesson. the guy who directed that episode of Game of Thrones is the same one that directed this episode of Game of Thrones. And you might be wondering, but why would they bring him back? Because he's one of the EPs. It was up to him what was going to happen. And when that episode of Game of Thrones happened, he didn't say, oh, my bad, or oh, yeah, or he was like, no, you're all full of shit. You're all wrong. There's nothing wrong with the way I lit my episode, and you can all suck it.
I mean, I heard it looked really good in like a movie theater, but like we don't have a movie theater available to us.
Okay. I don't have
or a TV or your TV at home.
Maybe if you have one of those like QLED screens, maybe, but like not everyone does. And it's just for it, considering it was the guy who screwed it up the first time, who got defensive as hell. Like, to me, I said this in our Discord server. It felt to me with the way it happened in Game of Thrones was he made an artistic choice. Like, he was like, it's called The Long Night. Let's make it really dark and it'll be dramatic. And instead it just pissed everybody off. Rather than just saying, you know what, I made a choice.
This was his fuck you.
My bad. It's just like, and he doubled down with this episode.
Yeah. A lot of this episode was very dark. And a lot of this episode, like, I was in my room, lights completely off. I had trouble seeing some stuff. I had to actually like go online where some people like change the lighting a little bit.
Their settings, yeah,
where you're able to really see stuff, like especially too when you're watching like the reaction videos for things in the background, or people are like, look at this thing that's showing, that's referencing, like, you know, those crazy videos that we don't have time to do. We're never going to do those videos.
No, I have so much to do already, guys.
Yeah. So like in those, you're like, oh, that's what was going on. Like, because you got the gist. You're like, oh, he gets a dragon and those two fuck. Like, you get the gist of it.
The music told a lot of the story.
Yeah. What's the music?
Yeah. But yeah. And it's just the thing. It, to me, like, because he directed the last episode too. Last episode was great. He directed the pilot. Pilot was great. I'm not saying the dude can't direct. I'm saying the guy can't shoot.
Is it Miguel Sapochnik?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, which like he's also did Battle of the Bastards too. Like he's directed some of the best episodes of Game of Thrones.
I mean, the guy has directed some of the best episodes of television.
Yeah,
like if you look up this dude's filmography in television alone, the dude knows what the hell he's doing. I just think he's a little up his own ass, and he's not willing to admit
that happens.
It does happen, but it's at the end of the day.
Hopefully there's no dark episodes for him to go forward. Like nothing else important happening at night.
Done. And yeah, but if that's my only complaint, was that for like 10 minutes I couldn't see shit. I mean, everything that was being said was really good and well acted and interesting.
Yeah.
You know, and also thank God for subtitles. But yeah, it was a very good episode. I just couldn't see it. I couldn't see a huge chunk of it.
Yeah.
But he did the whole episode was very good. Definitely one of the it seems like, because these first two episodes since the 10-year jump have been strong.
Yeah.
So
100%.
We've got some of the best actors working in TV right now.
And Emma Darcy, like they are doing such a good job as Rhaenyra.
Oh god.
Like, and the fact that they look just like the actress that plays her mother, like with the wig on. Because Emma Darcy like has short hair in real life, so like she looks so different, or they look so different with the wig on, that I'm like, oh wow.
It's just like I said about Olivia Cook and the young lady that played young Allison, Emily Carey. It was staggering how similar to Olivia Cook she looked. And it's incredible. The casting, like, good God, you're not paying these casting people enough, and these makeup and hair people.
Yeah.
It's very impressive. And we have 3 episodes left in this season, and I'm bummed. Like, I'm like, I want more of this. This is good. This is giving me what I'm not getting from Rings of Power.
and we get their marriage at the end. There's going to be some more players on the board, some more dragons on the board coming forward. And we're getting a time jump for next episode. So
not a huge one, but a couple of years.
Yeah, like Aemond is significantly taller and creepier looking.
Yeah, it's the eye patch.
Yeah.
And either makes you look cool or just psychotic.
Yeah, he looks evil. Like
and we already know that he straight up is, because like had Aemond or not Aemond had Rhaenyra's kids not pulled that knife,
yeah,
he was going to kill him. He was going to kill them.
Yeah, like have you burn in a fire just like your father.
Not even that. He was just going to straight up brain the kid. He was going to brain.
Yeah, but like he was probably going to brain them and then have Vhagar set them on fire. Like,
yeah, probably.
That was his plan.
Yeah, he didn't give it. He's
But
and
he
again,
got the cool line that line's in the book. I may have lost an eye, but I gained a dragon.
So good. So good. I love it. And I can't wait for next week. I'm so in. I'm so in on all of this. But hey, we want to know what you guys think. What did you guys think about this episode of Hot D? And what are you looking forward to as far as the rest of this season goes? What do you think is going to happen?
Who is going to get Hot D next? Like, who's going to get that Hot D next?
Well, I mean, according to the family tree, it's got to be Alicent. Yeah. She's still down a kid. But also with the way things are with Daemon and Rhaenyra, as gross as it is, I guarantee they're Hot D-ing quite a bit. And you know what, I feel gross now, so we should just be done. So let us know what you guys think down in the comments below or on Twitter. I'm disgusted with myself, and we'll see you guys again next time on another episode of Off the Wall. Bye.